Well, good morning and welcome to episode 9. And today I'm at a place that I have been coming to since about 1987. I had a good friend who was a young assistant professional for Bernard Hunt called Derwin Honan. And I have seen Foxhills grow and grow and grow. And I'm absolutely delighted to have a good friend and the owner of Foxhills, Mark Hayton, with me today. Mark, good morning.
No, good morning. Pleasure to be here.
I was delighted. And as always, we're going to chat wine first. It's a beautiful summer's day. Well, a late spring day, really, isn't it? Car park's full, which is always good. And we have today a really nice rosé. Comes from Provence. It's made from black Grenache, 75%, and a Cinsault. And it's just the normal Provence rosé. It looks that beautiful clear colour, soft peach. And let's have a slurp, see what you think.
Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers, cheers. At $17.95 retail, kind of hits the spot, doesn't it? It's not
Terrific.
too bad.
Yeah, nice bit of acid in there.
And I think today we see a lot of commercial rosés. I'm thinking of one in particular, Whispering Angel, which was a great wine in its day, but now has been so mass-produced. People are now looking for slightly different wines and their education of wines.
Well
so
said.
this is a lovely wine at the right price point for a lot of people. So we really like it.
Yeah,
So,
and rosé has really kicked on in the last 5 years.
massively.
In fact, I was talking to Mark, our hotel manager, earlier, and Whispering Angel is our #1 selling rosé, particularly in Flows, which is our kind of family cafe. And as you say, it's not cheap.
No.
But it has that brand loyalty. But you probably have reached its peak.
That's what I was thinking, and I think it has. Like anything, it has its day. It's been a fantastic marketing ploy and a marketing product, that's for sure. And wine is that. And this is what I love about Grapes&Greens. We're talking about wine, we're talking about golf, and today we're talking about Foxhills and your journey over 50 years for the family and yourself in particular, driving forward this country club in the middle of Surrey.
Thank you. And actually, there are parallels because, like in wine, in golf, there are traditionalists. You've had, Worplesdon as part of your podcast series, very traditional club, with some forward-thinking people behind it. And then you've got, as you have the Grand Cru Classés of Bordeaux in winemaking.
Yeah.
And then you've got the upstarts like Foxhills, which maybe are comparable to maybe, pet nats and orange wines of the new wave of winemaking. So yeah, I think there is a really interesting pairing of golf and wine.
And I think as we go through the episodes, that really trans into a kind of a business as well. We're talking to quite a lot of chief executives and a lot of people who are investing in golf and investing in wine because it brings people together. If you think about golf, there's so much business done on the golf course, but also there's a lot of social activity around that, and that's usually done over a glass of wine. So bringing things together and social and work environments, and it's a lot easier than being in the office a lot of the time.
Yes, and I think actually golf. A lot of the pleasure of golf takes place off the course.
Yeah.
So, any of our members will love the terrace outside 19. Farleigh, our sister club, is known for its atmosphere. So, they've got 3 great courses there. But, I think people are looking for that social aspect to a great game as well. And golf does enable that. Because it's played at a pace.
Yeah.
So nobody's in a hurry. If you're going for a game of golf, you're talking about most of the day.
Yeah.
And so there is that assumption that you'll stay afterwards. Whereas you're going to the gym, it's functional, in and out. You may grab a smoothie if if you're lucky, but otherwise. so golf is
Yeah.
is quite rare actually like that.
Yeah. Have you got a particular wine story before we move into the business side of
Well,
things?
many.
Okay,
But
interesting.
and I was going to bring in a range of them today, but I thought that might look worrying. But actually, what I had brought in today is the last wine story I had. But actually, the thing I wanted to start with was my first wine memory. And there are lots of them, and I know you've had some great stories on your podcast. Was Lambrusco,
Okay.
which is having a resurgence, which I'm pleased to see as a child of the 60s and 70s. So Lambrusco would come out. I'm talking sort of mid-70s now. And I think
I'm hoping Blue Nun doesn't come back. That's all I'm saying.
Never did appear. A bit of Matthias,
Yeah.
certainly Piers Porter, but I remember the Lambrusco, and it was usually days like this. And as a child, I associated that with guests coming round. So it was this immediate association of corks being popped, guests having a good time. And I suppose that, informs my choice of career as well. It was all, Pam and Ian were very social, as were both sets of my godparents.
Okay.
And, they all entertained, they all had wine. There was less knowledge, less fuss about, the provenance, but it was plentiful.
Yeah.
And, everyone was having a
Yeah.
good time. So Lambrusco was something that, as
great.
I say, I'd be glad to raise a glass of that with you, as it's now acceptable to do
Absolutely,
so.
yeah.
And then this one that's that I brought with me is Montepulciano.
Barbarossa.
Yeah. And most recent trip I had was last month with my 18-year-old nephew, just turned 18. And I said, let's go on a little break. And he said, Bologna. I thought that's quite ambitious, quite unusual for an 18-year-old. Little did I know that he wanted to go to the Ferrari Museum.
Okay.
So anyway, Ferrari Museum, 2 museums, in fact. And then he got me tickets to go and see Bologna versus Napoli, presented me with a football shirt, and we had to arrive at the stadium in kit. And then after the last night of our trip, we were only away for 3 nights, we went to kind of a proper Italian trattoria, white tablecloths, black and white waiters' uniforms, classic menu, and we shared this bottle. And first time I'd ever sat with Jack and had a glass of wine. It was, it was a lovely memory.
It's a great wine. I remember I worked at Castellino del Bosco in Tuscany, but I sometimes used to have to fly into Rome and drive up, and I would drive through Montepulciano. It's beautiful. I mean, it's just like you think, Italy, olive groves, wine, vineyards. It's just it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And that wine, we have a beautiful Montepulciano d'Abruzzo as well, and some really great Italian wines as well. Casivini is one of my favourites, and they were over a couple of weeks ago. And when you have a producer with you, they really tell you about the family. They tell you about the history. This is like 5 or 6 generations, and it's their lifeblood, And you hear the stories, and then you really, I think like 35,000 bottles of wine, but that's it, And so in Chianti Classico, there's 300 wineries just in that tiny little region. You've got to be exceptional to come out of there and sell wine, and it's hard. And it's a bit like golf. There's a lot of people now who have invested in golf, and we've all been through the 80s and the 90s where it was booming, and then we've been through the 2000s when it wasn't, and turning back into farmyards and farmers' fields. And even today, golf is not a quick buck, and as wine is not a quick buck.
Yeah.
You need deep pockets to continue and keep going to get to that end product where your brand is sufficient. And really, this is Foxhills. 50 years. I mean, congratulations. Is it something that obviously your father had a big impression on you, and your mother is still involved in the business, which is amazing, isn't it? And is it something that you always thought that's what you would do, or were there other choices that you could have gone down?
Yeah, thank you. I was in advertising when I left university, and sales before that. But I think I always thought hospitality was where I'd end up, always. I remember, I think I was about 9 at school, and I found at home a casino, a roulette wheel, and a roulette mat, and a load of roulette chips. And weirdly, some membership cards of a club Dad must have been involved in. So this is 73.
Okay.
And so I took them to school, and I set up a lunchtime casino, sold memberships, 50p, something like that. And that was quickly stopped.
I can imagine.
But it wasn't the fact that it was gambling or a commercial venture. I think it was just like gathering people around, showing them a good time.
Yeah.
And I think hospitality attracts people pleasers.
Absolutely.
People that work in this industry want people to have a good time and want to be liked. I think that's pretty clear. It's almost a requirement. And so that was part of my motivation. It was, to give people a good time. And so it came from within. And then obviously Dad was involved in the industry, but not originally. He was in advertising.
And he went in and he owned Penny Hill Park.
Yeah.
And then sold that to the Pecorellis, who you're close with today. And then to move kind of both sets, it's looking at that typical American country club of hospitality, family, and golf, which really very few people have done in the UK. But in America, it's the norm.
Yeah, and that's where Dad picked up his idea.
Yeah.
So Dad was sent over to New York by J. Walter Thompson in the 50s. So he would have been a madman, as anyone that's seen the TV series.
Yeah.
And, they would have taken him to the upscale country clubs in New York State. And then when transatlantic travel became affordable, he used to take us to the big resorts. We're talking Breakers, Fontainebleau, La Costa in California, and Pinehurst. And, so he was sort of making notes and things like that. So then Penny Hill came up, and he added a country club to it, and then sold it, as you said, to Giuseppe, who, with Danny, have done the most amazing job there. And then Foxhills came up about a year later. And I think Foxhills really was the summation of all those ideas that he'd been working on from private clubs, because he got involved in a great dining club in Mayfair in the late 60s with a couple of eminent people. And so he got a feel for membership base, even though it wasn't sporting. So Foxhills allowed him to fully realise all the ideas he picked up along the way, including a bit of, some of the advertising ideas as well. I remember he'd always try and, promote membership as, £4 a week. I'm like, yes, but somebody's going to come along and give us £4. And then the next Monday, and he'd always say, sell the sizzle, not the sausage. That was another of his,
But it's funny coming back to today, there are memberships now, certainly in the States, and I know a couple of people are looking at it, whereby you pay a fee, in the States, let's say 25 to 40,000. Every time you come, you pay $1,000 or whatever, but that includes everything while you're here.
Interesting.
And that's becoming more and more popular.
Would you live at Duke's Dean Golf Club?
Well, I was there. I was the first GM. That's right, and it was £10 every time you played.
That's it.
Yeah.
You paid, I don't know, £500 a year.
Yeah, that was it.
I remember
And it was
looking at
really
that.
popular. Really popular. I mean, we opened, membership was very quick to take off. Wasn't really sustainable, not at £10.
Interesting, yeah.
But was the concept, and again, it was trying to break the mould. What else can we do rather than that typical membership? And actually, if you look at membership today, if you look at the typical golf club, the cost of a membership to the club is actually very, very small per week, especially if you play a lot. So per round, sometimes it averages, you know, depending on how much you play, £5 a round, £10 a round, which actually I was reading on LinkedIn, which you get so many great articles on, that this is the cause of clubs because they're full, which is, in one way that's great, but full of people who are playing a lot for not a lot. And that's where I think they have to be careful, is they want a great value for money, but at the same time, if you haven't got funds to then invest back into the product, people will go and people won't want to come in to take those spots. So this really comes on really nicely to you because you've had the vision and the family have had the vision to continue to invest and improve through the 50 years. I mean, yeah, most people do think of you as a golf club, I think, in my head, you know, and that's where I first felt you were, you know, I would come because I had a friend who was involved in golf. But then when you look at the investment that you've made and the kind of inspiration that you've gathered, I'm guessing from the States, there's an awful lot that you've done, certainly almost since the pandemic as well. It's given you an extra supercharge, is that right?
Well said. Well said. And I think you get through hopefully a once in a century event like the pandemic, and with the support of members. You know, members were, you know, remarkably, they backed the club completely, and hopefully we've repaid them. But it made us realise that. Let's crack on.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Foxhills had always been progressive, but it's certainly accelerated. And actually, a lot of that is not just because we had the support of the members, but the team here. I've been here a long time, 30 years working, and as you say, 42 years as a family. But it's the team here that Tej has assembled, our MD, that are constantly coming up with these ideas. It's not me. I'm happy to support them, but they're constantly saying, this is a great initiative, or our members would really enjoy these kinds of things. A great example is we have an art studio.
Saw that.
It's not the biggest investment we've made, but it came from a colleague who is an artist, Annabelle, and she said, I've been talking to members, and there's an interest in art. You've got that little great building.
Little spot though, isn't it?
Yeah, and can I turn it into an art studio? So we now do 12 art classes every week.
Yeah.
And they're full, and the members love them, and Annabelle's awesome.
Brilliant.
And so there's nothing to do with anything the family have come up with. So these are organic ideas, and once you've got I think it also comes back to culture as well. Once people feel that they can contribute, they want to, and. So Foxhills is we've kind of we talk about sort of being post-club, it's a community where your colleagues, your members coexist here. It is a village. It's not an industrial park like some health clubs, and it's not, an exclusive behind gates golf club that, it is a community. And you walk around the village and you bump into people, and wonderful things happen, and there's all kinds of activities and investments that ensue from those conversations.
For those of you who are listening or watching, I'm just going to go through some of the things that you have. So you have more than 200 activities a week for members. Everything from spinning to art classes, of your language classes, to Pilates, functional fitness, but you've got 66 bedroom hotel, 3 restaurants, 3 golf courses, 9 tennis courts, 3 paddle courts, invention, seeing where the trend's going, 2 pickleball courts, easy for me to say, 5 swimming pools, 3 outdoor including natural plunge pool. Again, looking at whatever, it's all well good having a swimming pool. What kind of swimming pools do you need, which is interesting. You've got gym, spa, yoga cabin, group cycling studio, art studios, I've said, 2 fitness studios, creche, soft play area, games room, 2 adventure playgrounds, meeting, event, wedding spaces. Wow.
And 6 woodland walks,
Is that right?
which our head gardener,
Josh isn't telling me that.
yeah, our head gardener Glenn said,
Really?
you know, I think we can create. We've got 40 acres of woodland that are around the 3 golf courses,
Okay.
and Glenn said to Tej, you know, can I have a budget to create these walks? And it's so lovely because each one's different, and one he made suitable for pushchairs.
Great. For buggies, for kids.
One is 5K.
Yeah.
You know, the members our running club
Yeah.
go around that, but one is suitable for pushchairs. So again, you've got all kinds of people contributing to make this place an important part of people's lives.
I think so. I think that's the other thing why in America country clubs were so important was it was about the family. But Dad wanted his time, Mum wanted her time, kids wanted their time, and then we all come back together.
Well said.
And that really wasn't our culture. Dad went away. I mean, our fathers were probably the similar age. So, like, Dad would go off and play golf. You know, leave at 8, see at 5.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. And it wasn't that inclusive. Now, obviously, the world has changed. And people are looking for that flexibility. And, you know, you get a lot of fathers who are saying, well, I can't really justify a golf club, you know, because it's just golf. And I've got 2 kids they've got activities all weekend. My wife's working, you know, she's not going to be stuck at home just doing that. I can't just go and play golf. So I need something that's flexible. And I think we're working with Mashi Golf. They've been really good. And I think that's a model that people really enjoy because it gives them flexibility.
Yes.
They can also be seen to be working because they're inviting clients to come and play great golf courses where they wouldn't naturally be able to do. And I think, you know, Foxhills, you know, just those woodland walks, that involves the family. So I can go and play golf, but I can still walk with my kids, you know, in the afternoon. We're all together. It's not like, well, Dad's enjoying himself and we're all just stuck at home kind of thing. And I think that's really involved. And do you see that, again, coming back from the pandemic, that people were really very much more getting families to come, not just their immediate family, but, you know, brothers, sisters, siblings, bringing their families in as well?
Certainly in the aftermath of COVID, you know, there was those rush to host events, you know, big extended family events. And we're still seeing an increase in long stays at Christmas, which pre-COVID we weren't seeing. You may get, you know, 1-2 night stays, now it's 3 to 5. But I think, going back to your earlier point, I suppose this is where wine and food and beverage comes in, because, you know, we often say that, you know, it's the food and beverage that makes facilities a club. Otherwise, it's a golf course that you can, you know, change in the car park and leave. But if you've got good F&B, then it becomes a club. Yeah. And as you said, the family will come to a place like Foxhills. They'll maybe go off and do their own things. Yeah. They come together. If it's a family, typically in flows, they'll go and have a bite to eat together. If it's adults, they'll go to 19 or they'll come to the manor house. So, but it is that a glass of wine or whatever they fancy. But the food and beverage is an integral part of club life.
And I see more clubs now, firstly, investing in a good chef because people demand better food, even if it's a sandwich, that type of thing, than the normal clubs in the past had or provided. It was okay, it was fine, but now it won't do. So again, going around with Wine and Earth to show our wines, they're saying, actually, we do want to look at better wines because we've got a good chef, we've got good food. With good food, we need better wine. And that's made a difference, and especially Sunday lunches. And then you've got clubs like Centurion who have opened their dining facilities to the outside. And that's been really popular and very good for them because they're busy on a Tuesday night, you know, when a lot of golf clubs are.
No, I've been there. Very good.
Yeah, and it's great wine, you know. So again, but I think coming back to Foxhills, that's always been your mentality is inclusive and really, as we would say in the business, like sweat the assets as much as possible as well. Making sure that if you're going to build something, it's not going to be a white elephant. You know, even it's a good idea that we wanted an art room, but we don't want it to be empty. It's got to be used. It's got to be seen. At the end of the day, you're running a business. You're employing people. in order to employ people, you've got to pay them. So money has to come in.
Yeah, yeah. And I think for us, it's dwell time. So, our members, if they're enjoying an art class, are more likely to renew. They're more likely to stay and have a coffee afterwards. They're forming relationships that hopefully they associate with Foxhills, and those relationships are the reasons they will renew. As long as the product stays relevant and the quality is where they want it to be, there's no point in improving the quality of something so that your customers end up paying for something that they don't
want.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
They can't afford. There's been an understanding that when people join, they join in a club like this, and that suits their needs. And as long as you stay within that, we're not looking to, I think that's an important thing.
And you've got a new executive chef because you're going to invest in your restaurants, and this is. It's quite interesting to me because you've obviously done a lot of research because you're going fusion. How long is that process from understanding we need to do something with a restaurant? We obviously need to have a budget, we have to have a plan, from sort of coming up with an idea to actually launching. How long does that take, do you think? Because obviously it's going to happen in the new year, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. It's a good question, and I'm sure there's a really scientific answer I can give you. But the truth is, certainly the members, have demonstrated their interest in, Asian cuisine, and Tej and I, both love Indian food, and we happen to meet an amazing chef that will be able to deliver, a wonderful range of menus, including a terrific Sunday roast, good full English breakfast, fantastic afternoon tea. But come next year, a cracking Indian menu with British provenance.
Oh, great.
So that's great. But also, we've combined that with working. It'll soon be announced, we're working with a great designer who's worked with amazing clubs and old buildings like the Victorian Manor House, who will complement Atchell's food and Mark's wine list with the fixtures and fittings. And we really want the Manor House for the members to see the Manor House as part of their club. Yeah. And at the moment, if we're honest, they don't.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
They don't. I think if you ask members, they'll say, yes, we come occasionally, or it's a special occasion, but actually we think that's for the hotel guests.
Okay.
And 19 is incredibly popular now, and flows too. And we want to make sure the members have a third outlet. It is here for them. And it's a lovely building, lovely space. We're going to have 2 restaurants, one in the lounge as well as the Fox dining rooms. And, we want the members to feel as though they're as welcome here as they are anywhere else on the estate, which they are.
Yeah. Okay.
And actually, we were kind of inspired by Marcus, our membership manager, who was saying that the conversation he'd had with people at Troon Golf, that you know, so that, the number one reason for being a member of one of Troon's clubs is food and beverage and service, not the golf. The golf is almost a hygiene factor. And it is that food and beverage, that sense of really being looked after, great name recognition, great menus, great events, social events, great wine list, and really comfortable spaces, good private dining. And that really was a bit of a wake-up for us. I think we've always focused far more on our facilities, and you've been kind enough to reel them off. And maybe we hadn't spent enough time working on it. We were responding particularly to members' feedback about speed of service. That, because they're thinking about their golf, or they're thinking about their yoga class. They want to be able to have breakfast within, they want, from order to delivery, 10 minutes maximum. And then they'll have 10 minutes, 15 minutes to eat it, and then they're out. So we were perhaps looking far more around meeting those member needs rather than the delight. So I think the Manor House is going to be a kind of a new chapter for us. And and broadly the feedback we're getting from visitors and from members at Foxhills is in pretty good place at the moment. We never stop, and as you can see, a lot of the recent investment. But I think that really making the Manor House somewhere that the members love to visit is going to be our next challenge.
Well, I think that's about. We spoke with Julian Sampson from Worplesdon, who had a couple of years at Country Club of Virginia,
yeah.
and when you listen to you there, I just went straight back to what they're doing there, and that is again that country club feel where it's horses for courses for different times of day, for different events within the family setup. But sometimes, I'm taking the kids to the pool and I'm having a smoothie. Other times I'm playing golf and I want a bacon roll. Other times, actually, I just want my wife and I to go for a really nice meal and just, chill.
And I think that's also a modern thing, isn't it? It's brand identities.
Yeah.
We would never have thought that we needed to have brand identities amongst our restaurants.
Yeah.
But having that clarity, and we kind of play a game really, and when we do menu design, we think of a dish and go, where does it sit?
Yeah.
If it's a smoothie, it definitely fits with flows. If it's something more refined, it sits in the Manor House. If it's comfort food, I had a fantastic pork chop, mashed potato, and beans. Yeah. That's 19.
Yeah.
And we're very clear about where those, and it'll become even more clear, next year with the Anglo-Indian menu. So I think consumers like that clarity. And it's a good discipline for us as well.
Yeah. I'm going to take you away from food and beverage for a bit. And as I said at the outset, most people think of you of golf. You invested £2 million in the refurbishment of Longcross, and especially the 16th hole. Why do you think that was necessary?
We hadn't really done any remodelling, Niles, since Fred Hawtrey laid the courses in 73, and they opened in 75. We had invested in the pavilion and other facilities, so we felt that the golf was ready. I think the bunkers needed some remodelling. Some of them were in the wrong place. We worked with European Golf Design.
Okay. Jeremy Slessor and the guys, perfect,
fresh off, was it Paris National? And they've done some amazing Ryder Cup courses. I think they did
JCB.
Yeah. So we knew we were in good hands. And also we had the inconvenience of the Heathrow pipeline that runs from Southampton to the airport, going through 12 of our lovely holes. So we took a decision to, whilst this line was being dug up across the estate, to invest in the courses. We wanted to try and turn a very, very big negative into a positive. Yeah. So we wanted to come out of this project over which we had no control, something that would be there for the members for years to come. Yeah. And so that was another driver for that investment. And we knew Sean was passionate. He's our golf director, and we'd recently appointed Derek as superintendent. So we had some great people that we knew could deliver it with European Golf Design. So
that's great. And then obviously you've run 2 PGA Cups. And last year you had the Asian Tour, which was, series, again, slightly off field. You're thinking they're aligned with Live. You've got Wentworth and the European, DP World Tour down the road. Was that was something, did they come to you, or did you actually look for a tournament?
No, I mean, as you know, tournaments haven't really been part of our DNA. Yeah, we have enough neighbours that do them very well. Yeah, we have been looking in other directions. You said families particularly, and yes, the Saudi connections were something we talked about in my office directly above this room. We said this is right for us. Yeah, and I think that the connections with PGA Tour of America kind of made the debate fairly quite simple really,
Yeah.
because they were so embedded in golf anyway.
Yeah.
I didn't really think there was an issue, but we wondered about how our members would react because it wasn't something we needed.
No.
And we debated it, and part of the reason we agreed to do it was the team wanted to know, they wanted the test. They wanted to see, are we good enough? Can from golf services, can from our food and beverage, our housekeeping, from our event management team,
Great point.
greenkeeping,
Yeah.
can they do it?
Yeah.
And that was quite a compelling argument for me, not the economics.
Mm.
We knew it would sort of be a break-even event, and that was fine. And then we considered how the members would react. And once we thought that maybe they wouldn't question it. We did have one member question it, but that we had a conversation with them, and that was fine. But other members were excited about it, and we had, I think, 120 members who volunteered.
Correct.
And it was a great week.
Yeah.
Weather
Perfect.
like this.
Yeah. Perfect.
They were great guests, and we really enjoyed it. And they were very gracious about their praise, particularly the victor, and everybody here. It was a very positive experience. But we were happy to say thank you, and there's no immediate ambition to repeat it this year or next year. I think maybe if we did an event like that every few years, just to see if we were still, on point, that would be okay.
I think that point you made is really important. I found when I was at Loch Lomond that having the Barclays Scottish Open there was a real driver for staff. One, to get staff to come to us, and two, for the staff who'd been there for a long time. Every year they knew there was a build-up. We were going to have 27 of the best players in the world play. We knew that the eyes of the world were going to be on us because we weren't just on BBC, which is not the case anymore. We were also on, live in America through Golf Channel, which was because it was the week before the Open. So, and obviously we had that beautiful scenery as well. I mean, again, from a business perspective, what was quite interesting because the BBC had always done it, and they were great. Peter Alice and the guys were there, and it would be like same again. Yeah, we'll just do the same again. And then towards I think the last 2 years, we had Sky come in, and it was a whole different setup, and it was like different angles where we wanted to go. And I found that fascinating how people were taking golf and the way it's presented to another level. And I think that's actually moved on. I was reading today, CBS has really promoted PGA Tour, and they're saying how well Trevor Immelman is working now, and how you have to keep developing. It keeps coming back to that, don't rest on your laurels, which I think is absolutely one of the successes of Foxhills. Don't rest on your laurels, but also keep the staff motivated because, as you quite rightly say, they want a career. They want to see if this is a stepping stone or can I achieve everything by staying at Foxhills, which I think is really important, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. Constant challenges.
And it's hard to get staff now as well. You've got, how many staff do you have?
Summer, across the two sites, I think we'll have 400.
400 staff, which is a lot, from a recruitment perspective and upkeep, and in today's world from HR and everything else that goes with it. That's a huge task.
But I think Tej has very few vacancies.
It's great, isn't it?
Probably in single figures.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's down to the culture he's created here. And and both properties have a very kind of welcoming atmosphere.
Yeah.
And the members are very much a part of that. I think there's very little. We've never had to say to a colleague, "This is where the line is in the relationship between you and a member." We obviously get the recruitment right on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, as colleagues, we're allowed to use the facilities. Golf, we have to ask permission, but we can if we ask. But the other classes, if we want to do a class or play paddle, we can. There are certain restrictions you'd expect, but I think in the 1 year I've been here, only one member has ever asked why. They've never said they didn't like it, but they just asked why. Otherwise, it's just the way Foxhills and Farleigh are.
Yeah.
And actually, we attract people who get that.
Yeah.
And that actually really helps the recruitment, the retention, that atmosphere. There's not a them and an us here. The members are incredibly, they're just really reasonable, nice people here. And
but staff is so important. Have you read Setting the Table by Danny Mayer?
Yeah, great book.
And it's a great book. And for me, from a hospitality perspective, I kind of learned that those 5 steps. If your number one most important people are your staff, because if they get it, they retain. They're the biggest ambassadors in a way. Then it's your members or your clients, because again, if they understand what you're trying to do and enjoy it, of course they'll tell others as well. Then you have your community.
Well said.
And I know I'm going to come onto that, because that's a really important part to that, is making sure that you're seen as giving back to that community, and that's where you'll get retention in staff and staff coming through, because you're seen in the community as a good employer and bringing money to the area. The other one is suppliers. The suppliers coming in who, if you look after your suppliers, you pay them on time, you look after them, you do X, Y, Z, you treat them with respect, that goes into the industry. And then finally, if you've got all of those right, you make some money.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, and I think again, what I'm seeing is that philosophy is working.
Yeah, I think, I'm invited in to talk to our new colleagues. We have a welcome every month when we have an intake, and we talk about our culture, and our mission is when you leave, you feel better than when you arrive.
Yeah.
And really simple, but the important thing about that sentence is it applies to everyone.
Yes.
Just as you've listed, we want our suppliers to feel better when they leave. We want them to feel as though it's a positive relationship. Certainly, we want our members to feel that. That's the basis of our business model.
Great example of suppliers. Tom Wallace, who works for Coupling Keeper and Wallace, he was the GM of Oakmont, where they're going to have the US Open this year, and he used to make sure that the delivery drivers always used to got coffee with Oakmont, on the car. It's like little,
Yeah.
Nobody else did that. Go away and go, I love going to Oakmont because I get a coffee.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, that is.
Little things like that are great.
Yeah. And I think as long as you start off saying something that we want everyone to feel better when they leave, obviously it's our colleagues as well. So that you create this notion that it is a community. Everyone has a role. Everyone is treated with respect. Clearly, we're paid to be here, and our customers pay us to be here, and our suppliers are paid. Yeah. But everyone is welcome. Everyone's treated respectfully, and that, I think, creates a very healthy environment. I think, as you say, everything spins from that, and the community as well.
I don't want to come on, because that I know when we spoke to Josh about some of the things that we wanted to get across is community. Right from the start, even has been, even with your father's setup, was very important to give back, and understanding where Foxhills had come from and what it meant to the local facility.
Both my parents came from very, very humble backgrounds, and I think the last thing they wanted was for Foxhills to be the house on the hill.
Yeah.
That's got to be a very specific business plan, and that's just not us as people.
Yeah.
It's not the team as people. We're not like that. So, and early on, he and Bernard Hunt set up the Foxhills Foundation, which was a golf scholarship, first of its kind. Lots of great alumni, including Paul Casey. Mm-hmm. So that was one aspect of supporting the community. And in those days, the local paper would run ads, auditions. All the local schools send your children who would like to learn about golf to Foxhills on this date, and if they're lucky, they'll get 7 years scholarship. Still runs. Pre-COVID, we set up the Foxhills Community Camp, which is a summer camp the club sponsors, and is run by the local council. So it's a really positive example of a public-private partnership. And they deliver it and we fund it. And this summer we'll provide 730 places for children from the most deprived parts of our local community. And what I learned as part of my research was Runnymede Council is the second most deprived in Surrey. And there's 2 wards within Runnymede that would rank in the top 20 to 30% of most deprived wards in the country.
Wow.
Now, if you drive around here, and certainly if you visit our local golf clubs and even see the cars in our car park, you wouldn't think that. And yet under our noses. So we learnt about this, and we decided to give an equivalent of what we do for our families to the local community. And it's now been running for 5 years, and members have very generously offered to support it. It's fully funded till 2028, and we're now in talk to the captain about making it part of their fundraising. But actually, the thing I wanted to also mention is, and one of the things that golf doesn't really shout about, is what it does in the community. And I was thinking there's probably 3,000 golf clubs in the country, or maybe in the UK. And I would say, conservatively, every captain would probably raise, £10,000 a year. At some clubs, it'll be a multiple of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's £30 million that golf clubs are raising for local communities every year. That's a meaningful amount of money.
Absolutely, to the economy and pushing into good causes.
Absolutely,
fantastic.
Yeah,
I agree.
So I think it's there is good work that's going on in every golf club, but we want to make sure that we play our role, and we always offer concessionary rates to local causes, and we give fundraising vouchers every month for good causes as well, and particularly if a member is looking to raise money for whatever it is, their local school or the scout hut or the church roof, we'll always make sure that they go to the top of our list.
Great.
So there's many ways we do that, and colleagues as well. We try and support any fundraising they're doing.
Very good. Kind of, you mentioned other golf clubs. Why did you buy Farleigh? What was the reason for that?
Yeah,
because it's not next door, it's not in the community.
No, but I think it's 45 minutes away, so it's not. There's no risk of treading on its toes, and it was for several reasons. One, it's a great piece of land. John Jacobs designed 27 great holes there after he built the Edinburgh and the Buckinghamshire, and USGA greens. It's a very different landscape. It's he called it his inland links course. It's mainly on chalk, so it drains like a dream in the winter, and it had lots of agricultural buildings. So there was the opportunity to develop it and add some of those things that we did at Foxhills. And I kind of thought it would be, enable me to feel like Dad did in 1983, arriving and seeing if you can put your stamp on it. We've grown the business, I think, some 250% growth. And we're now
Is that right?
We're now at a point to look at adding the other facilities that will really send it into its next chapter.
Do you see it as a different membership? Is there a different different sector of the marketplace?
Yeah, and it's a very, very golf dense area, and even so, we've managed to compete well. Partly because members love the 3 different 9s that combine into 3 18s, so they love the variety. The quality's great. They've come out of the winter really ahead of the competition there. And but the atmosphere is one of the key things when we look at 59 club surveys, member renewal rates, new members joining. Why have you chosen Farleigh? It is that they're attracted by the golf, but they stay for the atmosphere. They've got great terraces, great F&B there. It's ranked, I think, number 5 out of 400 local restaurants. So it does far more F&B than most golf clubs that don't have other facilities. So those are the reasons that people like it. But it's a different demographic. But it's a pleasure to go there when I visit.
Yeah, good. I haven't been there yet, so I need to go and have a look.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. No, I'll go and have a look. Looking at the future, we've spoken a lot actually over the last 2 or 3 weeks. I've come across people and we've asked people on this podcast, but AI is becoming, it's either people are absolutely dead scared of it, and I can understand the reasons for it, but in a golf and hospitality business, are you implementing it? Are you seeing it as a benefit? And where do you think it will go in your business?
I'm not at the vanguard of these things. It probably won't surprise
Nor am
you.
I.
Yeah.
I don't think too many of our listeners are as well. I think everybody's at that cusp of, I kind of get some of it. I think the younger generation are really jumping onto it. My son's 32, and some of the things he's shown me that, he can, produce a can, video and everything else just on ChatGPT. And, this is what I'm feeding my 4-year-old. I've just created this, Dad. What do you think? Wow. I mean, that's positive, but it's also kind of scary for us as well.
Yeah, I think as individuals in the team, we're probably using it on an ad hoc basis and just, seeing where the benefits are. Josh, clearly, a lot of marketing people will see it as a way they never have to start a project with a blank page. AI will get them started, and it's a great research tool, and I'm sure there's many other ways that our industry and others can use it. I think the tech piece, as in general, is actually a benefit to our industry, in the sense that as more of our lives become reliant on it, those personal, physical, face-to-face connections take on greater importance. We saw this after the pandemic, outdoor exercise and so on. But, parents are conscious of screen time. So our woodland walks are a massive detox to that. Actually, the growth of outdoor spas, hot tubs, ice baths, saunas. One of the reasons I read is that they're becoming more popular. Open water swimming it's that digital detox. You cannot read your screen in a steam room. So I think actually the hospitality and resort market has as much to gain from it as customers, start to look for just a break from that. Now, clearly, they expect us to be able to have, great tech where, we're probably behind on some of that. They expect us, to make, whether it's QR codes for looking at menus or, we have tablets in all our bedrooms, so they want that kind of, all our colleagues have.
Everybody wants that.
Yeah.
Actually, I would quite like. I mean, I hated the pandemic when I went to the pub and you had to, all you could do a QR code, and then I went to the pub to talk to the guy behind the bar. Do you know what I mean?
Not just have somebody remotely drop it on the table and run away.
I hate that. I couldn't do it. I just can't get a pint.
So I think clubs are really well placed for that, especially because if you have good people with you, they can forge those relationships. Now the usual that you're not going to. Well, you get it online, but it's just it's engineered as opposed to sincere.
Yeah. I suppose the last question is: you've done 50 years. What's the next 50 years? Where do you see the industry going? I mean, where do you find inspiration as well? We've talked about the Country Club of Virginia and where they're going and how big they are. We've talked about other clubs that are coming on board now in America, which I guess is one of the leading lights. And also you're seeing China, they're, massive facilities. Where would you like to see Foxhills as a legacy in sort of 25 years, as obviously continuing in the style that you have today? Where do you think it will be, and where do you hope it to be?
Yeah, it's a good question. We've got an off-site meeting in about 10 days' time at the Grove, and my FD said, what will Foxhills look like in 5 years' time as a starting point so we all had to write down our ideas. And as a part of that exercise, I reflected on what would I have predicted in 2020 that 2025 would have looked like. And I listed all these things, from Deliveroo to Reformer Pilates to staying in shepherd's huts and all these other things in our industry, natural wines, things like that, and the rise of cocktails, and as I said, ice baths, and I would have got most of them wrong. So I think it's incredibly difficult to predict, what's going to happen in the next 5 years, because if I look back just 5 years, so much has happened that I wouldn't have seen. Invariably, as we've just said, the people in the wellness industry are talking about a lot more data-driven training, much more tech-based personal training and things like that. You've seen the rise of Wegovy and Ozempic for coping with obesity. So there's all that sort of tech frontier, biotech stuff coming down the line, which I don't really have much interest in.
Yeah.
But I think wellness will continue.
Wellness, I think, will grow massively.
And I think the basics will still be the same.
Yeah.
People come to places like Foxhills and Farleigh and all your other venues that you visit because they want to belong somewhere. They want to be looked after. They want to. We have a saying here. Exercise, socialise, try something new. Exercise, socialise, try something new.
Yeah.
As long as we stick to that, I think most people will feel as though that sounds positive.
Because if you socialise, that's healthy.
Yeah.
If you exercise, that's healthy.
Yeah.
And if you learn something, that's progressive.
Yeah.
And that's good. I mean, the things that you've mentioned, you're thinking about in 2000 to 2025, all those things have come out of learn something new, isn't it? How I want things delivered to me. How do I do that? How do I get things to people that I can make money from? That actually I can earn a living from and move it forward and all this kind of things. That's clever. And I think if you come to a place like this, the biggest thing is social. I know that when Wentworth obviously changed their model, a lot of people came here not necessarily because of the money or whatever, but because so-and-so and so-and-so can't afford to stay here. So we're all going because it's the social aspect. We like sitting there on a Saturday afternoon having a drink and our families meet and whatever. I think that's so important. That's what a country, comes back to the American, even in the 50s, like when your dad went there, it was about social. Now social changes as the 80s go through, but at the end of the day, it's people talking to each other, relaxing, having a glass of wine, playing golf, and then what else is there to do?
And I think that's a very good point, Al, and I think there's the risk of trying to predict the future that you get distracted.
Yeah.
And I think it's making sure that we stick to the basics, like Danny Mayer said.
Yes, exactly.
I think there's so much truth in that. And that's also why, some of the venerable golf clubs that are over 100 years old are still going well, still relevant.
Absolutely.
Because they do the basics well.
Yeah.
So I think we can learn as much from them, sort of the kind of progressive resorts and country clubs can learn as much from Sunningdale. In fact, when I went to Sunningdale, because our former general manager from Farleigh is now GM there.
Yeah, Adam. Yeah.
I was surprised at how social it was. I figured it was, I just had a different perception of it. And I came away really, really impressed by it because golf's the thing. And everything revolves around that, and everyone's social. And as long as you're a good golfer and you play, with the right spirit, whether you're a high court judge or someone that's just done well commercially, you're all the same. And I really like that. So I think there's a lot that the so-called progressive clubs can learn from the traditional ones. Yeah. And I'm sure they're keeping an eye on us as well.
And I think we're speaking with Nicole Wheatley tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to that interview to understand women in golf and how important we know that that's the biggest growth margin, but also from a staffing perspective, actually employing women is a massive thing. Whereas I think that's where that will, in 25 years' time, that will be a very interesting place to be.
The interesting thing to talk to her about is, women's golf seems to always have potential. And I think it's just seeing, how we as an industry can really accelerate that. Yeah. I mean, country clubs are ahead of the game. So we'll have, 25% of our golfers will be women, and that's partly because we have more women than men as members because of the tennis, the spa, the gym,
the
paddle.
facilities.
Yeah, and I think we make it very, and we have a par 3 course, so you've got that kind of progressive path for golfers. So it's very easy for a woman who's already coming up here with a tennis bag to switch it to a golf bag, and then we provide free clinics on the manor course and so on. But it's kind of stubbornly stayed at that sort of 10-12% participation, and I think it'd be really interesting to see.
I think it's interesting that the pictures of this world, they've come in. The Canary Wharf. I was saying to Joss, when we were setting up, you go to Canary Wharf, and if you talk to Chris Ingram, who's the CEO and the founder, he's like, we're not a golf company, we're a hospitality company. And people nowadays, they don't just want to get to the bar and just drink. They want to have a drink, but they want to do something.
Yes.
Our something to do is hit golf balls into a simulator, but we actually create a real social environment, which I think is great. And we encourage ladies to come in. So you think of Canary Wharf, the amount of people who are now male and female coming into an environment that is social around golf. It's only got to grow the game, I would have thought.
Yeah, I hope so.
Because there's no barriers to entry now, which is great. Well, this has been fantastic. Congratulations on 50 years. I'm sure you're going to have a great year. I think it started off, the weather's been perfect for you. Start of the year. You're having a big celebration in July, which will be, I'm sure, will be well received. And I wish you all the best.
Cool.
Great talking to you. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Niall.
All right.
Brilliant.
How long was it?
Just over an hour.
There you go. Perfect.
Thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I thought it was really good. I thought it was really good. We got some really good sort of business stuff over there.
Well,
That's what I wanted
so.
to.
I don't like to talk about Foxhills
Happy
too
with
much.
business?
Yeah, definitely.
No, but I think it was